A quarter of a century after the Lord of the Rings movie trilogy began, they've returned to cinemas in the most spectacular fashion. Truly, it was an absolute delight to watch my favourite movie trilogy in the cinema for the first time. As a wee 19-year-old lad, I was not yet born when the trilogy was initially released, but I watched them at such a young age that I can't even remember seeing them for the first time. So they've been a big part of my entire life. I love the movies so much that just a few years ago I read the books and loved them too. To be honest, I don't even mind the Hobbit trilogy either. So, let's take a look at how and why The Lord of the Rings has managed to hold up so impressively over the last 25 years, especially when compared to films of the era and films of our current era. When adapting the trilogy, writer and director Peter Jackson, alongside his co-writers Fran Welsh and Philippa Bowens, really managed to condense such an expansive trilogy of books into 3 long, but very watchable films. You've all seen the trilogy. You know what happens when you choose to watch it. You need to plan your days around them. However, despite their lengthy runtime, you never feel that runtime. The trio of writers knew that to adapt a book to film, you don't directly take the words of the page to the screen, but find a way to transfer what works in the book format into a filmable screenplay. That's why it's called an adaptation. When adapting, it's important to know what to remove, what to keep, and what to change. I'd say that the large majority of the time, they made the right decisions. I know that the changes to Faramir are controversial, the changes to Saruman's death have a lot of debate, and people miss Tom Bombadil, but by and large, I'd argue that changes such as these have either just as much merit as their original versions, or even improvements over them. It's impressive that 25 years and countless rewatches later, even the most controversial changes don't affect opinion of these films. I am extremely grateful that cinemas decided to screen the extended editions as opposed to the theatrical ones, as I truly think there is no other way to watch the films. Sure, first-time viewers should probably watch the theatrical editions, but for a die-hard fan such as myself and countless others, it's the extended editions every single time. I don't find their longer runtime or different pace to be distracting at all. In fact, I found that the movies flew by despite the shortest of them being well over 3 hours long. I don't think I've ever actually seen the theatrical cuts of the latter 2 films of the trilogy, and I would never want to, because when I've watched videos talking about the extended scenes, I simply can't imagine the movies without the large majority of those scenes. Sure, maybe the Army of the Dead storyline is hurt by the extended scenes there, but is that one relatively small downside really worth sacrificing so many essential scenes in The Return of the King? I definitely don't think it is. Now, let's take a look at a few ways that showcase just how well these films are still so great, so many years on from their release. I'd say that the very best example comes from Fellowship of the Ring, with Boromir. I don't know how many times I've seen this film, yet Boromir's character arc and his redemption is still so powerful to see unfold. Why am I tearing up at the death of a character I've seen die so many times? It almost feels ridiculous. But all the right elements of filmmaking came together, and watching this tragic hero redeem himself and defend the Hobbit right up to his demise still pulls out all the emotions that a first-time watch would. Even Gandalf's death is emotional, even though he returns in the next movie. It's the character writing, direction, score, and everything else that comes together to still make you care about what happens to these characters and how other characters react, even 25 years later. Now let's move over to The Two Towers, where I was especially impressed this time by not only the actual Battle of Helm's Deep, but also the build-up to it. It's got to be a solid hour or so of build-up to when that first arrow is shot and the battle begins, and during this time, we understand the geography of the location, thoughts of the characters, the stakes at hand, and the power of the enemy. All of this is essential to create an intense, dramatic, and entertaining battle that matters. As we watch the battle unfold, we really know that if the Uruk-hai storm the castle, all of the characters involved will die, and Sauron will surely take over Middle-earth. Through the build-up and a clear understanding of what this battle is for, it goes beyond a cool castle defense to a battle that is detrimental to the fate of the world. I really appreciate this build-up during this watch more than any other time. Another detail I noticed is from Fellowship. Before Aragorn lets Frodo go, he has to battle his temptation over the ring, and the look on his face says so much in literally just a few seconds. It's a very powerful moment that builds so much of Aragorn's character in just a few seconds. It's a crucial scene that I somehow had never noticed before, and goes to show the careful attention to detail that this trilogy was given. All of this to say that no matter how many times you can rewatch this trilogy, you can always notice new things to appreciate aspects of the story more than on previous watches. It's a true mark of excellent filmmaking that this is the case. There are plenty more such examples, like Faramir's emotional storyline with Denethor, and I really liked Eowyn's arc, as well as Theoden's redemption. It's the details in the characters beyond the very main cast that help to sell the movies too. I feel like a lesser trilogy would have made Theoden be a stubborn king to have Aragorn look good, and Faramir would simply be Boromir but supposedly better. But both Tolkien's books and Jackson's adaptations really flesh out all of the characters. It really is in the little things like Wormtongue crying at the sight of the Uruk-hai host, and Éomer trying desperately to sway his sister from joining the fight, then being devastated to find her on the brink of death. Every single character has at least one moment on this level that makes them feel like people and not just supporting characters. So, I mainly wanted to make this video to gush about the Lord of the Rings, which I have. If you missed this specific re-release of the trilogy, fret not, because there's set to be at least 2 more this year alone, and I'm sure more will follow. If you've never had the privilege of watching these movies in the cinema, or haven't since the 2000s, then please do yourself a favour and book a ticket. They were cheaper than a standard cinema ticket too, so I highly encourage everyone to see them in the cinemas at least once. Truly, it was a marvel to watch this masterpiece of an adaptation on the big screen, and it to be better than contemporary films, not only in terms of writing, but also the visuals too. It's the selective use of CGI, where it's more to enhance the practical effects, is perfect, and has helped the visuals of these films age marvellously. If they look this good after 25 years, I think they'll still look great after 50 or even 100 years. And, to be honest, I already feel like rewatching this trilogy again. So while I go do that, let me know in the comments what some of your favourite Lord of the Rings moments are, and did you rewatch them in the cinema, or do you plan to? Let me know in the comments. Please like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.